Hello. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Aaron. I buy sell trade. Dummy. Buy sell trade, collect Venn grade. Welcome back to the channel. My name's Aaron, where I talk about the hobby. Whatever, really. Cards, collectibles, Pokemon, Magic, Magic, Final Fantasy, Magic, Spider-Man. Oh god. We got stuff to talk about today. Today's video is about longevity and happiness. The two most important things in life. Can you make it and can you be happy? We're going to talk about a few different things today, a hodgepodge of things. We're going to first talk about just some random stuff I got into this weekend. So, sorry, almost forgot. At the end of this video, if you commented in the other video about the 151 giveaway, I will be pulling that winner. I will be putting that winner in the pinned comments down below and the video description. Please, if you are this person, reach out to me on Instagram. Also follow me on Instagram. Follow me. You have to send me a screenshot of your setting. Blah, blah. Yeah, anyway, if you win, congratulations. I appreciate support. All you have to do is like, comment, subscribe. If you didn't win, then we'll figure out another way to give you free stuff. Okay, cool. What was I talking about? When I was at home this weekend, trying to clean up my closet of random I'm not organized in the brain. Got way too much in the mind. Always thinking about something. Can't keep things orderly. Anyway, and for God's sake, I have a storage unit of cards and I have all this random crap at home. And I'm sure my wife one day would love it if I could just get my stuff together. I was going through a box of stuff and I found a nice little box of like these older packs. There were two Pokemon Best of XY Japanese booster packs. Now that's a high class set from the XY era. I won't bore you. The set doesn't really have good cards in it, but they are probably like $300 packs, if I had to guess. One of the packs came from a box where I pulled the hit. It was a Yveltal EX full art, and the other box came from a pack. The other pack came from a box from Red or Blue, my friend Rob, in which he had a box break. And that box break, someone pulled the Hex Maniac, which is like a $3,000 card. So these packs are probably duds. I will probably end up grading them. I also found a unlimited Next Destinies in Japanese. So if you're unaware, in Japanese, for a lot of the mid-era sets onwards, there's unlimited and then first edition prints. I found an unlimited pack. Very, very rare pack, by the way, which I think is a light, not really worth opening. And then I found some base XY first edition Japanese packs. I opened up 3 or 2, put that on Instagram. It was like a nice little fun little, riveting experience. They'd come from a box where we still don't know if the hit has been pulled. So shout out to Leo, Hater TCG, who sold me those packs. Anyway, why do I bring this up? I've been getting lost in the sauce in like selling, buying, Final Fantasy, Pokemon, just like all this market content, all this like making money and all this like granted, like I'm trying to take a more mature approach now to the hobby where I actually think about how do I make money back and how do I make money because I can't do this forever or not think about that. But oftentimes you get lost in a lot of that. And my greatest concern for new people coming in is like, do you even know how to enjoy the hobby? It's not a judgment. It's more of like a question. Like, how do you enjoy the hobby? And like everything is about money these days. Everything is about how much you can make. Oh, this is a good investment. This is a good flip. This is good buy. And like rightfully so, there should be a part of people who understand that if you want to sustain yourself. But I think a lot of the hobby these days is just about that. And it can be tiring. So, I found these packs and it really took me down a walk down memory lane on like the stuff we used to collect and open. And I don't do as much opening as I used to. That's a lie. I I don't open as much as I used to. I mean, you're talking to a guy who used to rip like I opened up 40 boxes of VMAX Climax when it first came out, 2 cases. It was an amazing experience. I still have many of those cards through today. VMAX Climax was oh man, what's that in English? There's a mixture of like Brilliant Stars, Astral Radiance, Lost Origin. Yeah, those sets. Came out, it's like 150 a box now. But when I bought them, they were like $35, $40 a box. I've opened up, I don't know why I'm laughing, like 20 Tag All Stars GX high class boxes. They're like a $600 box now. That was one of my first high class sets that I opened. Super fun, amazing. I pulled some of the gold cards, pulled some of the trainers. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about. We used to have a lot of fun, and it's always nice to go back and look at like the things that you used to get into. And it's not that I wouldn't, I wouldn't continue doing that. It's just more so like eventually you learn that like, oh, it's kind of financially not responsible to like rip stuff and then expect to get your money back. And that's basically true for like every card game, with some very few exceptions. I did have my fair share of luck with Final Fantasy, knock on wood. But typically you're lighting money on fire. Anyway, it's such a long-winded topic. Why am I talking about this? I was watching a video from I think it was a Rudy video. This is probably like 2 weeks ago, and I'm surprised nobody talked about it. And like the crux of the video is like, if you invest in yourself and you make sure you're alive, make sure you're around for the next 5-10 years, man, it doesn't matter what you buy. It really doesn't. You could have bought any set from like 5 years ago, top chases or even sealed, right? And as long as you made it through today, you didn't just decide to sell everything. You just like, if you were a collector, right, you'd be doing great, just fine. And I feel like the key to that really is understanding that you want to buy with the intention of like, it's something that you really enjoy and it's something that you really want. Because at the end of the day, you can sit here and talk about Pokemon investments all day and like which seal to buy, what seal not to buy. But like, it's way better to be a little bit accurate and get some gain, plus feel good about what you bought and really enjoy it, right? Than to hold off and hope that you got like the next Evolving Skies right. And I've just learned that time and time again that like it comes down to the enjoyment of what you're doing and what you're buying, what you're collecting. And obviously, like you want to follow some fundamentals. You don't want to buy a bunch of commons. You don't want to invest in like a bunch of hollows. You don't want to have like a bunch of PSA 7s of random stuff, right? But like, as long as you are applying some level of fundamentals, buying some level of premium stuff, and not just chasing what everyone else is chasing, you're probably going to do fine. And I think the hardest part in this market for a lot of people is like being honest, like what do you really care about? What are you really after? And I want to go back to Final Fantasy a little bit. I made that market watch video. If you watched that video, thank you. If you didn't, whatever, forget you. It's so interesting to me because I had an opinion, right? My opinion was I said, I'm not an investor in Final Fantasy collector boxes because I'm not an investor of Final Fantasy. And, my explanation was like, there's far better ways for me to grow my collection and make money. Like, I don't want to park $1,500 on a booster box that like, I know a lot of people are holding. It's not to say it's not going to go up. It's just more so not for me. But even me just saying that it's not, I don't think it's a good investment based on everything I laid out, right? There was a decent amount of like negative, like like how dare you talk badly about my investment type of attitude. And it's just like so interesting to me. Like, I know for a fact the people who say that are not fans. They're not like the Final Fantasy hardcore person who like dresses up like Cloud on Halloween and looks like a complete weep. You know what I mean? Like, I know the people who say that are the people who are like all about trying to increase their investments and like grow, like all about the money. And there's nothing wrong with the money. I just found it like a very interesting. It's just a very interesting, like, like, oh, of course it's deflationary, so it's gonna get to 5K, and it's gonna get to 5K. Like, duh, it's totally worth the money. It's like, what are we talking about here? Like, I didn't say it's not a good thing to invest in. I'm just saying, based on these circumstances, it's not a good investment. Anyway, investment community cracks me up because as someone who formerly used to invest all the time and, was all about that, this new age group of people who like will literally follow any advice on how to make money, it's different. It's just interesting. Anyway, go back to Rudy's video. It's really hard to imagine where you're going to be 5 years from now, or even 3 years from now, right? I mean, a year ago, I didn't even live to where I lived. 2 years, 2 years ago, I didn't have a kid. 3 years ago, I lived in Los Angeles. 4 years ago, I lived in Los Angeles. 5 years ago, I lived in the Bay. So it's just like you start to really peel back what every year means, and like if you can really be honest with yourself, figure out what you like about the hobby, you'll make it far, man. You'll make it far, and you will be here with unlimited gains, a massive collection, and you're not going to have stacks and stacks of Elite Trainer boxes in your mom's closet trying to liquidate them. And oh crap, you bet one of the corners because the Celebrations one smashed up against the Fusion Strike one, and now hit the Temporal Forces one, and now you got to sell at 70%. You know what I mean? Just joking. I think people have a hard time figuring that out, you know? And, one of my favorite pastimes, I still do this every now and then. I did this like last month for PCG era promos. Look it up. Japanese Pokemon. I don't know why I said Japan like that. Japanese Pokemon PCG era, advanced era, which is like Ruby and Sapphire ish. And I did that because I had like a random card in my closet. I think it was like a minion or plusle. I forgot. And I was like, oh, what is this card? Where did they come from? And one of my favorite pastime here is like you go to Bulbapedia, amazing resource by the way. Go to whatever you're interested in. Certain sets you've never heard of, like why are gold stars popping off? What's in EX Deoxys? What's in Holland Phantoms? Or like Poncha Pikachu's. Why are Poncha Pikachu's so expensive? Where do they come from? How do people get them? Are there other promos like them? And I would go through and just look through every single card entry and see what that card is, what is it in English, what is it in Japanese, and then how do you get it? And when people ask me like, "Oh, how did you get into Japanese stuff?" Why do I keep saying, "Why do you, how did you get into Japanese stuff?" That honestly was how. Like, I'm not an expert. All I did was read and absorb. All I did was like try to understand, like, oh, what is this auction that I'm looking at? Why is it ending at this price? Well, okay, I could buy this by Mercari. I could buy this on Card Rush. Like you just keep doing that over and over again, and you start to like satisfy this party where it's like, oh, I'm genuinely interested, and here's what's scratching that itch. And so that's really how I figured out how to enjoy the hobby, was just like being, when you're a newbie, level one noob, and you don't really know anything, that's like the best time because any question you have, like, there's so many things that you can have questions about, and there's so many answers to things. I don't know why I just framed it that way. And these days I miss where I used to be. Not to say I know it all, but it's kind of like, oh, there's less things to be curious about. There's less things to be like, just kind of like, okay, well, now I know what to solve. I know it's about, let's go figure out how to make some money. Let's go figure out how to trade. It's just like, there's less like exploring, discovery. There's less like, it's like when you're a kid, you go to like a new park or you're exploring something different. Like there's less of that these days. And like, honestly, that was fun because it's like, there's like it's a intrinsically motivating, right? And it's about just like wanting to learn more and wanting to like absorb more. And that's my best advice. If like you're on the outside looking in, especially now when the market is so hot and everything's so expensive, you know what's free? Learning. You know what's free? Understanding what promos are limited pop and hard to get. And, just absorbing all this information because, one thing that I would call out is as I've called out my level X Pikachu, shout out to your boy, doing well. I've had like a couple people ask me, like, how did you know that? Why did you think that that was going to be a good card to go after? And it's like, for me, I'm like, well, pop's low. No one's talking about it. It's a Pikachu card. There's no other level X Pikachus. It's a Japanese exclusive card. And just like you start going through the fundamentals, we also start going through like, oh, these are just things I picked up through like learning. And I think that the challenge that people will have today watching a lot of YouTube content is by the time you're told or someone shines a light on like, oh, this is a good card, you should probably buy it. You're probably too late. Or you're probably priced in and buying at a premium over what someone else has already swept the floor or bought up all the cheaper copies. And so it kind of behooves you to learn the skill set because next boom, next bear to next boom, the skill set is transferable. It's all the same thing. It's just going to be a different point in time. So if you can like train yourself to learn about the cards and just be curious, it pays dividends in many different ways. Anyway, I'm not a preacher of teaching, but just something I want to talk about. There is something that I think people should know, and this is not related to teaching, and it's related to SpiderMan. Over the weekend, some people bought SpiderMan collector box pre-orders. I think over 100 plus sold at like $900. One person bought 52. That's not even out yet. And I'll explain quickly. I'll explain from my perspective why I think that is. So if you're unaware, let's go back to Final Fantasy. There's a serialized card of Final Fantasy. It's a Chocobo. It's a gold card, beautiful card. I've used it in thumbnails. One of 77. And the number one sold for like $250,000. The other ones have sold for like $30,000 to $50,000. Incredibly rare. I've opened up like 28 boxes worth of packs at this point. Definitely did not pull it. People want this thing. And the price of the box will continue to go up because there's only one print run. So it's deflationary, right? And unless all the serialized birds get discovered and reported on, there's always going to be this assumption that like a box could carry a serialized bird. So it's going to increase speculators. The price of speculators will want to pay and market price is going to go up. Now, it's not really that always cut and dry and simple and straightforward. Like price is going to fluctuate. But from here on out, Final Fantasy collector boxes are probably going to be going up and with some levels of stagnation, but they probably are not going to retrace more than like 20%. So they're at $1,500 now. They already retraced like $1,050 like a month ago. They're only on their way up. And for every video that comes out, for every, from people who are talking about the set, from Rudy, from people who are curious about the set, price continues to go up. You can't really buy this box for any cheaper than $1,500 unless you buy it from someone direct. So that's Final Fantasy. Cool, awesome. There's exclusive foils, that kind of thing. Up until last week, SpiderMan was considered kind of like a dud set because they had not really revealed much, or they didn't really reveal anything really about what was in the collector box. And because Edge of Eternities, which came out last weekend, came out, and the pulls and the hits in Edge of Eternities are kind of like meh, like nothing really special. There's like one top hit Galaxy Foil card, but the other cards are kind of like, whatever. There was an assumption that Spider-Man was also going to be a mess set. Okay, so you follow me. People thought it was going to be a mess set on the Tales of Final Fantasy, which did well. Cool. And then on I think Thursday, Friday, Hasbro released or WotC released a reveal for Spider-Man, and it changed the entire landscape of collector boxes for whatever they're doing with Marvel. So in Spider-Man, they revealed that the top chase is going to be a Soul Stone. If you're unaware, you're not a Marvel fan, there are 5 Infinity Stones. One of them is a Soul Stone, and in Thanos' quest to decimate half the population of the universe, he collects all 5 stones. I'm butchering it. Comic book fans are going to kill me. There's 5 Infinity Stones, and they fit into the Infinity Gauntlet. Okay, so naturally, let's string this together. Spider-Man in that set, that's a collector set. The top chase is an Infinity Stone called the Soul Stone. There's also a Thanos card. There's also a version with like Thanos and some other stuff, right? And that's the top chase in that set, which means that if they are following the story and the lore, there's definitely going to be 4 more Infinity Stones, right? That are going to be spread across the next 4 sets? The next set, nobody knows yet because they haven't announced it yet, right? And those sets and those cards are presumably going to be in the collector set. Okay. So now that we have all this information, this bigger picture is being painted where people are like, holy shit. So what you're saying is Spider-Man is one of 5 potential sets with a mega chase. These other sets are going to be, 4 of the other 5 sets with mega chases. And the culmination of this, so if you watch, you've definitely watched Avengers at this point, right? I get the 5 stones, they go in the Infinity Gauntlet, and that's a completed gauntlet. After those 5 stones, like what's the culmination of that? The culmination of that is a completed Infinity Gauntlet, right? And so now you get all these rumors, this excitement, all these people super hyped because they see that there's an actual plan for Marvel, for the Infinity Stones, for Spider-Man, whereas none of this existed before last week. So if I had to make a guess as of today, August 5th, August 4th, Monday, I think the Infinity Stone, the Infinity Gauntlet, this is what I personally think because it would be amazing. I think it'll be a serialized card and there'll be 100 of them or something like that. That's what I think. I have no reason to believe that, but I think that would be so amazing, so sick. Okay. So the rest of this information, by the way, outside of the Soul Stone, like they haven't said anything about. This is all speculation. People losing their damn minds. People now, Final Fantasy did well. Like this is gonna do well. Like people literally, they have no information to go off of outside of what was revealed, so they're just speculating. And that's what drove a lot of these boxes to go up. Is now people believe and understand that these collector boxes, what they're doing in the collaborations, what they're doing in these special sets, that they're trying to target this audience of people who presumably are going to spend more than the average kind of card player. And, I feel bad for the standard Magic fan, the person who would want to buy this stuff because they're like, oh yeah, I love Magic. I love Marvel. Cool. I want to buy a collector box. Because like, honestly, that ain't happening at this point. The pre-sales for this box going for like 900 plus means retail is probably going to be around the same price. And if Final Fantasy is any indication that market price after launch is going to go up, then I do not understand what's going to happen with Spider-Man. It's going to be absurd and ballistic. And my reaction to that is like, part of me is like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. The collector set stuff. But my reaction to like the market, this is pretty bad. It's going to alienate a lot of people. It's still going to print a ton of money. But the thing that I actually think is not great is it sets a terrible precedent where if you can't pay, if you can't afford to pay these prices, you're never going to get access. And I guess it's not. Why do I think it's terrible? I think I kind of have like I'm kind of empathetic to people who like were aspiring to get a lot of this product. Maybe that's where I'm coming from. But like for the economy of cards and for the secondary market and for collector boxes and like what Magic's doing, like I only got into Magic recently because of Final Fantasy. Because I am a decent enough Final Fantasy fan. But also it's because the allure of a premium product, of premium chases, top cards that I know should be or are worth, more than just a couple bucks. I don't, I never, I shouldn't say never. In the past, I didn't buy too much Magic because I haven't played in years. But also, like, I just couldn't enjoy the cards. I just didn't have an affinity to like what they stood for. When you introduce value, and yes, I'll be honest about this. When you introduce value, and I'm not saying it's about making money. I'm saying it's about holding something that's valuable. It gets people excited in a different way. Would you rather? It's different than holding like a bunch of 5-cent cards. They're like, oh, playable, whatever. Then like, oh my god, I have a $30 hit, $40 hit. Oh my god, I have a full art that's like $300. You know what I mean? And so it is going to be really interesting to see what the heck happens in the next for this set. And like, honestly, I'm not even excited about Avatar anymore because I'm not going to be able to afford to participate if Spider-Man does well and I want to buy the single. I have a handful of boxes on pre-order at a good price, thankfully. Um, but we'll see. And I will call out as well. Final Fantasy has an absurd quality print quality. Final Fantasy has Japanese print quality. It needs to be understood and noted and said time and time again. Edge of Eternities I opened, it is not Japanese print quality. It does not look good out of the pack. And it's not the same thing as opening up a Surge Fall from Final Fantasy. So we'll see how the singles market shakes up and how the graded market shakes up, because that's really where I'm going to play. Buy singles, collect them, buy singles, flip them, buy singles, grade them, yada, yada, yada. But, I don't know. We'll have to see. And, with that, that's it for me. So I'm at my destination, park. And that's it. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, leave a comment, like, subscribe, and that's it. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.